Welcome and good morning to all of you. Myself, Professor S.R. Chakne, Assistant Professor of Agronomy at Sadguru College of Agriculture, Mirzgaon. Today, we will going to discuss the lecture number 7, that is atmospheric humidity, then concept of the saturation, vapor pressure, process of condensation, formation of the dew, fog, mist, then frost and the cloud. So today we will discuss about that topic in detail about the atmospheric humidity. In this, firstly we will discuss about the introduction regarding the humidity. So what is the humidity? Humidity is defined as the water vapor present in atmosphere is known as humidity. So whatever the moisture or the water vapor which is present in the atmosphere, that is known as a humidity. Generally the humidity is expressed in the percentage. The percentage of water in the atmosphere is highly variable and changes according to the season, land and the sea presence. That means there are some of the factors which affect on the amount of the percentage of the water vapor which is present in atmosphere, and they are changes according to the factors like the season, then it again changes according to the land and the presence of the sea. So this factor which affect on the amount of the water vapor in atmosphere, but a but in any case it never exceeds 4% by volume in the atmosphere. That means if there is a variation which is observed in case of the water vapor in atmosphere, but that amount of the water vapor they never exceeds by the 4%, and the water vapor, that means the humidity, that decreases with increase in height, and most of the water vapor content exists below the 500 millibar or 5574 meter height. That means whatever the amount of the water vapor that is present in the atmosphere and that decreases with increase in height, and the water vapor content generally exists below the 500 millibar or it present below the height of the 5574 meter into the atmosphere. Then humidity depends mainly on the air temperature. If the air temperature is more, then the humidity is less, and if the temperature is low, the relative humidity or the humidity in atmosphere is more. So this is about the introduction regarding the humidity. Then next point, that is the concept of the saturation. Then in detail we will discuss about the what is the saturation concept. In that, when we think of air as being saturated with a moisture, we often say that the air is holding all the moisture in it can. That means as we know, if we call as the air is saturated, that means we call it as a all the moisture which is held by the air, and after that it cannot hold the amount of the moisture into the atmosphere. Then this says that, or this implies that once the air has reached the saturation, it won't accept any more water by the evaporation. That means when the air is in reached at a saturation condition, and after that the any more amount of the water that is not accepted by the air through the process of the evaporation. But actually this is a wrong. So long as there is a water available, evaporation will continue even when the air is fully saturated. That means if the air is in fully saturated condition, and after that also the process of the evaporation is will continue if it is saturated condition. Then let's examine the concept of saturation in more detail. Then we have to discuss here the concept of saturation in detail. For that purpose we have to imagine one beaker that is half filled with a water. Then after that let's put a top on it to contain the movement of water molecules and eliminate the influence of wind on the evaporation. So for discussing the concept of this saturation in detail, for that purpose we have to take one beaker, and that beaker which is half filled it half fill with a water, and after that we have to put a top on that beaker, and due to that it can constrain the movement of the water molecule, and that is also help to eliminate the influence of the wind on the evaporation. Then as the water absorbs heat, it begins to change the phase and enter the air as a water vapor, and after that if the air if the water which is present in the beaker that start to absorb the heat, it begins to change the phase from the liquid to the water vapor. Then after that, above the surface the water vapor molecule dirt about the suspended in the air, and after that above the surface of the water vapor molecule they are deposited or they are collected in the air, and after that however near the surface water molecules are attaching themselves back the surface, and again they change back into the liquid water state, and that is known as the condensation. In first stage what happen, if the after the absorption of the heat by the water in that beaker, that changes from liquid to the vapor state, and again after that these water vapor they are again changed back into the liquid state, that is known as a condensation, and that process that will be shown in this beaker A. After that, as evaporation occur, the water level in the beaker that is decreases. That means if the evaporation occurs and this process continue for some time, and this shows that the water level in the beaker that is get decreased, and that will be shown in the beaker B. Then this occurs because the evaporation exceeds the condensation of water back onto the surface. Why the water level in the beaker B is get decreases? Because this is occurs due to the process of the evaporation that is takes place at a higher rate as compared to the condensation of water back onto the surface of that beaker, and due to that the water level in the beaker B is get reduced or decreases. Then after some time the amount of water entering the air from the evaporation that is equal to that of the condensation. Then when this occurs, the air is said to be in a saturated condition. And finally the last stage is what? If the evaporation process is continue for some of time, then the amount of the water that is entering the air from the evaporation, and that is equal to the condensation, and at that time we can call it as the air is in a saturated condition. So in detail we have discussed here the concept of the saturation by considering the half fill beaker with a water. Then after the next concept, that is the vapor pressure. Then what is the vapor pressure we have to discuss here. Like the other atmospheric gases, the water vapor exert a pressure on the earth surface which is called as a vapor pressure. Then in atmosphere there are some of the gases which are present, and with the some of the gases the water vapor which are also present into the atmosphere, and that water vapor that exert a pressure on the surface of the earth, and that is called as a vapor pressure. Then this vapor pressure is a part of the atmospheric pressure due to the water vapor is known as the partial pressure in the atmosphere. Then the unit of the vapor pressure. So this vapor pressure is expressed in the millibar or in a kilopascal. Then the next concept, that is the actual vapor pressure. So what is the actual vapor pressure? So this actual vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by actual air or the dry air, that is known as a actual vapor pressure. Then the next important concept, that is the saturated vapor pressure. Then what is a saturated vapor pressure? We have to see here. There is an upper limit to the amount of the water vapor that the air can hold. It is called as a saturation. That means the maximum amount of the water vapor that is held by the air, and at that condition we can call it as a saturated air or the saturation. And The vapor pressure exerted by the saturated air, that is known as a saturated vapor pressure. See again the definition of the saturated vapor pressure, that is the pressure exerted by the saturated air, that is known as the saturated vapor pressure. Then when the air is completely saturated, then there will be no evaporation, and hence both the dry bulb and the wet bulb thermometer will indicate the same temperature. That means when the air is in a saturated condition, that means the 100% moisture or the relative humidity in present in the atmosphere, at that time the observations which is shown by the dry bulb and the wet bulb thermometer, that indicate the same temperature, that means that will give the same observation because there is the air is in a saturated condition. Then after that, the next important concept, that is the absolute humidity, that is designated by the AH. So what is the definition of this absolute humidity? So this absolute humidity is defined as the actual mass of water vapor present in the given volume of air, that is known as the absolute humidity. Then this absolute humidity, which measured in the unit, that is the grams per cubic meter or pounds per cubic feet. So that is the unit for the measurement of this absolute humidity, that is grams per meter cubic meter. Then this absolute humidity is also known as a vapor density, and this absolute humidity is depend on only the temperature. That means this absolute humidity, that is affected by the weather parameter as a temperature. Then the absolute humidity is equal to the weight of water vapor divided by the volume of air, that is the formula to calculate the absolute humidity. Then the next important type of the humidity, that is the specific humidity. Then what is the specific humidity? It is defined as the mass of water vapor in the given mass of air that containing the moisture, that is known as a specific humidity. Then this specific humidity is expressed in unit, that is the grams per gram or grams per kilogram, that is the unit for the measurement of the specific humidity. Then the next important concept, that is the relative humidity, which is designated by the letter RH. Then the relative humidity that represent the amount of the water vapor, that is known as the relative humidity. In simple way, the relative humidity that represent or that shows the amount of the water vapor in the atmosphere. Then water vapor actually present in air, that is compared with the maximum amount of the air can hold at a given temperature, that is known as a relative humidity. Then this relative humidity tells simply the relative content and they indicate the degree of the saturation of air of a given temperature. Then the relative humidity of saturated air is always 100%. If the air is in a saturated condition, then the relative humidity of that air is always 100%. Then the proportion of the water vapor present relative to the maximum quantity, that is called as the relative humidity. That is an actual definition of the relative humidity. Or the another definition of the relative humidity is, it is the actual quantity of water vapor present in a given volume of air to the maximum amount of the water vapor in the same volume of air, that is known as the relative humidity, and this is the most accepted definition of the relative humidity. Then the next concept, that is the dew point. Then what is a dew point? So this dew point is defined as, it is the temperature at which the actual mass of water vapor present in a certain volume of air is just able to saturate it, and the invisible water vapor begins to condense into the visible form like a water droplets. So that is known as the dew point. Then next important point, that is the process of the condensation and its form. So firstly we will discuss about the definition of the condensation. So this condensation is defined as, it is the process in which the water vapor is converted into the liquid form, that is called as a condensation. In this process, the water vapor these are converted into the liquid state, that is known as the condensation. Then the another definition of the condensation is it is the phenomenon in which the state of water changes from the vapor to liquid, that is known as a condensation. Then in this process the heat energy is released, that means the condensation is an exothermic process because the heat energy is released in this condensation. Then this process of condensation is just inverse of the evaporation, that means the condensation process is opposite to the evaporation. In case of the evaporation, the heat energy of about 600 calories is required to evaporate the 1 gram of water, that producing the cooling effect. Then in case of the condensation, the same amount of the 600 calories of the heat is released for producing the 1 gram of water, that giving the warming effect. So this is about the process of the condensation. Then the next important concept, that is the sublimation. So what is the sublimation? Sublimation is the process of the condensation occurs at temperature below the freezing point. The water vapor in the atmosphere is directly converted into the ice crystals, that means in a solid form without intervening the liquid stage, and that is known as the sublimation. So let us understand the concept of the sublimation, that in this process the water vapor that is directly converted into the solid form, that is in the ice crystals without converted into the liquid stage, that is known as the sublimation. Then this process of the conversion of water vapor directly into the solid state, that is called as a sublimation. Then the another definition of the sublimation is it is the process in which the water vapor is directly converted into the solid form of water, that is known as a sublimation. So this is also one of the another definition of the sublimation, in which the water vapor is directly converted into the solid form of water, that is known as a sublimation. Then the next important point, that is forms of the sublimation, forms of the condensation. So there are various forms of the condensation are there. They includes the dew, then fog, frost, then smoke, mist, rime, then cloud, rain, snow, sleet, then hail, drizzle and shower. So these are the various forms of the condensation. Here we will discuss these different forms of condensation one by one. As the first form of the condensation, that is the dew. So the deposition of water vapor in the form of the tiny droplets on the colder bodies by the condensation, that is known as a dew. So dew is what? That is the deposition of the water vapor in the form of the tiny water droplet, and they are deposited on the colder bodies by the as the vegetation or the wet surface, that is known as a dew. Then the clear sky and the absence of the wind is the necessary conditions for the formation of the dew. That means the two favorable conditions for the formation of the dew are, first one is the clear sky and second one is the absence of the wind, and at that time only the dew formation which is takes place. Generally the dew formation which is occurs in the early morning hours. Then the temperature of the air and earth surface decreases to such extent that the condensation takes place. Then the object on which the dew form must be good radiator and the bad conductor are necessary conditions for the formation of the dew. Then there are again two important conditions which are necessary for the formation of the dew, as the object on which the dew form, they must be the good radiator as well as the bad conductor of the heat, and at that condition only the formation of the dew which is takes place. Then the next important form of the condensation, that is the frost. when the temperature of air falls below the 0 degree Celsius before the dew point is reached, the water vapor is directly converted into the crystals of ice and deposit on the surface, that is called as a frost. Then next to the dew, the frost is an also important form of the condensation in which the temperature of air that goes below the 0 degree Celsius but before the dew point is reached, in which the water vapor is directly converted into the ice crystals and they are deposited on the surface, and that is called as a frost. Then frost is frequently called as a form of sublimation, and generally this frost that is injurious to the vegetation, that means it affect on the growth of the various crops. Then the next form of the condensation, that is the fog. So the temperature of air decreases to such an extent that the water droplet remains suspended in air but do not deposit over the surface, that is called as a fog. Generally this fog occurs in early morning hours, and due to the presence of the fog it affects on the visibility of the object on the earth's surface and in a atmosphere. Then extremely small water droplets, they are suspending in the atmosphere and reducing the horizontal visibility, that is known as a fog. So generally the effect of the fog that is caused as the water vapor or the droplets, they are suspending in the atmosphere, they reduces the horizontal visibility, and that condition is known as the fog. Then the next one, that is the classification of the fog. Then the fog is divided into the main three types. In that, first one is the thick fog. This thick fog can restrict the visibility up to the 45 meters. Then second one is the moderate fog, and this moderate fog that restrict the visibility up to 450 meters. And the third one is the thin fog, and this thin fog that can restrict the visibility up to 900 meters. So these are the three types of the fog which are classified under the fog, as first one is the thick fog, second one is the moderate fog, and third one is the thin fog. Then the next form of the condensation, that is the mist. So the mist is a less dense fog, that is called as a mist, and that mist is similar to fog and that will disappear with the rising sun. Then the obscurity which is caused is known as a mist. Then the suspended water droplet that can restrict the visibility between 1000 to 2000 meters or 4 on the coded scale in the IMD. That means whatever the suspended water droplets which are present into the atmosphere, and they can restrict the visibility between the 1000 to 2000 meters height in the atmosphere, and which is shown by the code 4 which is given by the IMD. Then this obscurity is known as the mist. Then the relative humidity is at least 75%. Then mist disappear with the rising sun. If there is the presence of the mist is there, and at that time the relative humidity of air is at least 75%, and this mist that will disappear with the rising sun. Then the next form of the condensation, that is the smoke. So the smoke is the combined effect of the smoke, dust and the fog droplets that will reduces the visibility, and that phenomenon is known as the smoke. So this smoke which is considered as an important form of the condensation, and that will form by the combination of the smoke, dust and the fog droplets into the atmosphere, and that will reduces the visibility. Then the next one, that is the rime. So this rime is formed when the wet fog having the supercooled droplets immediately freeze on the striking object like the telegraph post having the temperature below the freezing point, and while the ice is formed on the windward side, that is known as the rime. Then the next form of the condensation, that is the cloud. So that is a form of the condensation. So this cloud is also considered as an important form of the condensation. The temperature of air is cooled sufficiently to cause the condensation of the surplus moisture into the cloud. Then the last form of the condensation, that is the haze. In that, some solid particles like the dust, smoke from the fire and the industry, that will restrict the visibility, and that is known as the haze. Then what is the haze? So in that, haze is the sum of the solid particles like dust, smoke, they are released from the industry, and that will restrict the visibility in the atmosphere, that is known as the haze. In this way, today we have discussed in detail about the humidity, then various types of the humidity, then the concept of the saturation, and the various terms which are related with the relative humidity, and finally we have discussed in detail about the various forms of the condensation. So today we will stop here with the conclusion, as we have completed the topic of the relative humidity, then concept of the saturation, and the various forms of the condensation. Thank you.